we, 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 yeah, yeah, Sun 7, yo, urban therapy with Sun, yeah, watch this, a documentary today on Run DMC. Now, the documentary was good, was pretty good, but it was narrated by AI. So, to me, that always takes away a little of the authenticity. Maybe it's just me. I want to bring the humans. Yo, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. Watch me a documentary today. I was listening to Run DMC, what they had to say. But their voice wasn't on it. It was like they was doing something nobody wanted. AI on the screen. That's the only thing I heard and what I seen. All kinds of pictures that didn't relate. Yeah, I started to hate. But wait, still learned a little something. That was one of my favorite groups, and it ain't nothing. And cause I was young, and you know how it goes when you a young one. And so what I learned is that thing was all about earning. Run was Russell brother, and he had to hustle another. The way to get them funds, and they was doing that thing. One. So I kept watching, and I think it's scheming and plotting. They were successful while younger, fueled their hunger. Young hip hop was in infantile stages, and all the pages of the magazines. They was on the scene, they was doing what they had to do. Run DMC was mean. Then LL came, but you know, that's another story. Yo, all I want you to do is bring real voices back and know how to act. Cause that AI shit narrating is whack. Yo, shit, ain't that shit whack? That's my feelings. Everything is gonna be all right. I'm still reeling. Got a little bit of cold. I'm trying to maintain. Let me explain. Yo, every time we gotta do this thing, it's like gravy train. We ain't nothing but a bunch of dogs, and we being treated like in the fog. Wait, let me get it right, y'all. My name is Sun 75. I do things my way, and I really don't care what nobody say. When it's time for me to go off, I ain't soft. I'm like I'm up in the loft. Yo, got me a couple of dollars in a holler, but I realized that I never was really a scholar. Went to school every day of my life, didn't play a whole lot of lookies, no bookies, cause I wasn't taking no crazy gambles. But sometimes I feel like my life is really in shambles. But I gotta keep moving, showing and proving. Y'all know how I go, and you know how I'ma do this on this show. Yo, yeah. One time for your mind, you will find that you gotta get yours, but you gotta grind. Those who don't work, they ain't gonna eat. You wanna beat them on my face, I compete with the best each and every day. But I gotta make sure that I do things my way. And people try to lead me astray, but they ain't going down like that. Nah, not today, baby. Yeah. What? T. Carey right all up in the house. What's going on? How you feeling? My brother Ansel Jones up in here. Yo, please hit the like button. You know I need that. But as we press on. I ain't trying to hear that. Yo, it's the contest on. Yeah, and I'm still competing. Everything is gonna be all right when I be meeting the people in my life that's gonna help me out. I hope they help me out. They ain't gotta do it, no doubt. But I'm still gonna ask, and I'm gonna tell you why. I gotta complete my task, cause they say that a closed mouth don't get fed. And I know that a closed mouth don't give head, baby. Yeah, let that sink in and take your time while you are still thinking that we gonna move it. And I'ma still prove it. The truth is out there if you look, but you sometimes you gotta turn off the video, pick up a book. Cause reading really helps your mind grow. And if you don't wanna do that shit, well, oh well. Mumble rapping, mumble rapping, yeah, and big drum slapping. Hey, I was here when you came through, and I came here to do what I gotta do. And I see you up in the corner, and I'm trying to get you to do things that I wanna. Cause I wanna see you win, kid. See, like from the beginning, kid. Yeah. So how do we know if things would have turned out different than the way they did if we'd have turned out in a different direction and went south, east, west, north? Of course you don't know, but sometimes we speak about it like so. Or like I see in Spanish, you know what I'm saying? Yo, or follow me, yo. Alright. So it's time to get it popping for a minute. Take a minute to win it and not right back. Minute to win it, rewind it. Put it back and spin. I spun around the block. I had to do a U-turn, but I know that I always gotta learn the lessons that always get taught. And sometimes I be feeling like I really ought to just go ahead and take some chances, but I don't want to do nothing crazy. Yo, it's all about romances. Yo, your life gotta have a little romance. You know what I mean? You gotta do something. When I say romance, I ain't necessarily talking about it in a sexual way, but you know what I mean? Romance, it's like espionage and shit. You know what I mean? There's a little mystery to that thing, you know? Make it feel good. Yeah. Sun 7-5, baby. Yo, word. All right, Urban Therapy with Sun 752. And this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Sunday from 2 p.m. till around 3:30-ish. And the reason that we say 3:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Sunday. And it is Sunday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I am your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the rrrr. And if you can't say Omar with the rrrr, well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should as well. Today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we are talking about how do you know what would have happened if you would have done this, that, and the third. And what we're talking about with that title and with this concept on this show is so many times in our lives, we talk about how things would have gone if we would have done one thing over another thing, or if we would have made one choice instead of another choice, or if we would have made one decision over another decision, if we would have went one way instead of the other way. But how do we really know? You know, you ever say, you know, you ever, for those of y'all who have kids, you ever think about what it would have been like had you not gone to the place where you met the person that you had a child with or children with, whatever? What would have happened if you would have never met them? You can look at your kids and you can say, if I hadn't met your mother or your father, you know, you would have never been here. You would have never made it into this world. It wouldn't be like this. So sometimes we use that as justification for whatever choice that we made. But we don't know if it would have gone that way or not. Of course, the children that we have the DNA of the mother and the father of the parents, right? But you don't know if you would have found another parent to procreate with that would have made your child look the same way. You just don't know. Now, of course, we can speculate, and we can speculate with some kind of proof. But how do you know which way your life would have gone ultimately had you made one decision over another decision? Like, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine the other day, and they were talking about, yo, we would have never met each other if it wasn't for Penn State. We didn't go to Penn State. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. You know, you never know what circles in life that life will put you in. You never know who you're going to meet on or in your travels or whatever. So there can always be ways for you to connect with something rather than another thing. But we don't know that for sure. All we know is what actually did happen. But I'm sure that many of us wonder, like Ansel, don't you ever wonder what would have happened if you would have went to college instead of going into the military? T. Carey Wright, don't you ever wonder what would have happened if you would have went straight into college instead of going to work? I know I wonder what my life would have been had I not gone to college after high school and maybe worked for a little while or went into the military, because those were my options. And let me tell you, those were my only options. I didn't have any other career ambitions. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do with my life that didn't involve either going to school or going into the military. There was no way I could have just worked, as far as I'm concerned. But how do I know that? How do I know that? Because I didn't go into college right after high school. I went in the spring semester instead of the fall semester. So you know how most college kids start either right after high school, like taking summer classes. So they're already in school by like May or June, or they go in August and September. Well, I didn't go in August or September. I didn't go until January. So all of the other freshmen my peers of my freshman class, they already had a semester in before I got there. So I worked that whole semester before I went to college. So I don't know if I would have stayed working there, whatever. I know that my mindset wasn't on working, but who knows? Who knows who I may have met? Who knows what opportunities may have been presented to me? Who knows what someone could have shown me? Like, well, you like to do this, that, and the third. Why don't you help me do this? Blah, 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 blah. We can make a couple of dollars over here. We can do blah, 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 blah. All I know is that those options weren't there when I first got out of high school. But I don't know who I would have met. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know where I could have gone or would have gone or whatever. But I always wonder. Suppose I had taken that whole year off instead of just that semester off. I'm pretty sure that would have changed things, because now, having that year off from school for the first time in my life, who knows if I would have felt like going. Now, I know my mentality back then told me that I was definitely going to college. That's what I knew from kindergarten all the way up until 12th grade. So it wasn't really no change in that. But you never know. My brother from another mother, Norris Hill, said, back, relax, do your thing, max and chill. Dipples D's. My brother time. Not doing time, no crime. Maybe hustled a little bit illegally, but we gonna keep that just between you and me. All right, so I'm gonna put these drums away, and we're gonna go ahead and have this discussion. Because this discussion need to be had. How do we know what would have happened if we would have zigged instead of zagged, if we would have chose instead of froze, if we would have went instead of stayed? We just don't know. But we gonna try to find out. We're gonna try to find out, you know, what we can derive from the choices that we made. So let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Slide your finger across the like button. Don't slide it back because that'll take away the like. All right. So how do we know? How do we know? I'm gonna go over here and get my chair. My brother from another mother, Norris Hill. Sit back, relax, do your thing, Max, and chill. What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? All right. So, back at it. Back at it. So how many of y'all think about this kind of stuff? So I know people who get too caught up in the what if. The what if. Sometimes the what if can drive you crazy. I ain't gonna front. Sometimes the what if can drive you straight crazy. Because you really don't know. You don't. You really don't know. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. But we can all speculate a little bit. We can all guesstimate a little bit. It's warm outside today, y'all. It's warm outside. It's supposed to be like 70 degrees. That's over here on the East Coast in Philly. Let me see. It's 63 right now. Supposed to go up to 72 and it's supposed to rain. All right. So we getting into some spring-ish type of weather. You know, the first day of spring was yesterday. The first official day of spring was yesterday. Shout out to Rita's Water Ice, if y'all know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Let me see. TK Wright says, if I had gone into the Marines or Air Force like I wanted to, my life would have been so different. Right. But in what way? We know that you would have traveled the world a lot. But do you know if you would have chosen maybe a career in the military like so many people do? You know, we're so used to people, you know, going into the military and then coming home and working on or in whatever field that they're working in. But there are so many people that I know, like my big brother, he went to the Air Force, he stayed. He retired from the Air Force. And that shit is a good look. You know what I mean? Put in your little 20, 25 years in the Air Force and shit, you retire, you get full benefits. Niggas is eating. Retire before 50 years old. Chilling. It's a good look. But I always wondered with him, I wonder if he wonders, well, what if I would, all right, he already wanted to go into the military, but he didn't take any college courses or anything like that. So I think my big brother might have got up to like what, like an E5, E4, E5 or some shit like that. Let me see. You can only be a non-commissioned officer. You can only get up to sergeant. And I know he was a recruiting officer for a while. What is the E5 in the military? What rank is that? Sergeant. Okay. The E5 in the U.S. military is a sergeant. In the Army, Marines, in the Air Force, it's a petty officer, second class, PO2 in the Navy or Coast Guard. It is the first level of non-commissioned officer responsible for leading low-ranking enlisted personnel. Yeah, I think he got up to that. Now, don't quote me on that because I don't know. But, if he would have went and even just got his associate's degree, could he have become like an officer, lieutenant, captain, major, work your way up? But he chose not to. And he was very successful, ran his own business and all of that kind of stuff. This is why he was still in the military. He was running his own business. He had a little franchise. He was running this little franchise called Cuppies. It was like this coffee thing until, Starbucks came down there and literally wiped him and everybody else that had a coffee shop out. That shit crazy. Like, so you mean tell me that branding is that strong? And it is in some areas. Like in a big city like Philly, New York, and Chicago, small businesses that got their shit going on can still live even if a major franchise comes into the area. But not where they were. They were totally forgotten when Starbucks got there. It was like, so it is what it is. But nonetheless, I wonder if he wonders or thinks about or even cares about, what could have happened if he would have continued his education and went for his in the military. But we all make our choices. We make our choices. He made his. I made mine. Y'all made yours. All right, what else y'all talking about? And so says, I wouldn't have seen different parts of the world. I have 25-year friendships. How do you know you wouldn't have seen different parts of the world? How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? I know that the military allows you to easily explore the world and discover other cultures and stuff like that. But do you know for a fact that wouldn't have happened without the assistance of the military? How can we really know? How can we know? All right. Carrie says, I can't imagine not having my kids. I could dig it. My brother Time says, 1991, my life changed. My big mama passed away. And I think a year before that, my grandpa passed away. In 1991, it was a group Sounds of Blackness with this great song, Optimistic. The song changed my life. It was a great song. I remember getting that album and being pissed off. How about I didn't know the Sounds of Blackness was a gospel group? I didn't know that shit. I just thought it was a dope ass song. A literally optimistic song. It was the only song on the album I liked. To this day, it was the only song on the album I liked. I was listening to the rest of the album, and it's not that I have anything against gospel music, because I don't. I like gospel music. But I wasn't feeling that shit they was talking about. I was like, y'all need another Optimistic. Maybe you should come out with one that says, be pessimistic. All right, anyway. So that song helped you out, changed your life in that difficult period. And I know that was a difficult period. Man, losing your grandparents. When you have influential grandparents, the kind of grandparents that were so influential, so impactful on your life, in your life, because grandparents can teach you things that parents just can't do. And your parents can teach your kids shit that you may not have been able to teach your kids. But that wisdom of grandparents has such a large impact on us because we respect our grandparents. We may try our parents, but there's something about the love and guidance of our grandparents that it just makes us be like, nah. I ain't gonna try it. I ain't gonna try this shit. I ain't. Let me just listen to what Big Mama got to say. Let me listen to what Nanny got to say. Let me listen to what Nana got to say. Let me listen to what my mom got to say. All right. And so says 9/11 has a different meaning than other people. It does. 80 in the Midwest. Oh, damn, it's 80? Okay. Oh, I see what y'all doing over there in the Midwest. Y'all over there battling. Oh, it was free Rita's water ice yesterday? I missed that. I miss it every year, I guess. And Carrie says, I believe that I would have wanted to stay in the military. Now that brings questions into my mind. Because I always wonder what makes a person want to stay in the military. Because and this may not have anything to do with your situation, but with the people that I know, they stayed in the military because they didn't want to come home. They went into the military because they didn't want to be home. Not necessarily because the home was abusive or chaotic or whatever, but there may have been something going on in their hometown or in their personal home that was unsatisfactory for them. And they said, well, you know what? I'll be damned if I'm going to be sitting around here, scrambling, twiddling my thumbs and wondering what I should do. So I'm going to go out here and do what I can do. The military, say what you want to about the U.S. military. It helps you. I don't like the job that the military has to do, but I do like the wisdom that the military and the lessons that the military has to offer. I do like that. And I thought about going into the military after college. And I still wonder, what would have happened if I did that? Because I could have gone in as an officer because I already had a degree. And I really planned to do that shit. I went to go see the recruiter and everything. But I didn't follow through. All right. Okay, Carrie says, I respect discipline and clear expectations. Tom says, son, on lingo back in the day, that means your brother was chilling like a villain. He was chilling like a villain. As a matter of fact, not only was he chilling like a villain, he was cold cooling in the place. You know what I mean? He was laid back in the cut. Because he could do this like Brutus. Oh, Carrie says, believe it or not, coffee shops have made a comeback. Comeback? When they ever go away? Coffee? There's something about coffee is crack. Or should I say caffeine is crack? Caffeine is crack. It's legal crack. Tom says, and him going to college, I believe the military would have paid for it. 100% they would have. 100%. Carrie says, I've always had a travel bug. So that would have been that would be something I would have always done. It's funny you say that's something I would have always done. And it's funny how you can probably believe that based on your personality. But just like the title of this say, just like the title of this show says, how do you know what will happen? Are you sure? How do you know something couldn't have prevented you from pursuing traveling and getting out there? You just never know. Just never know. Okay. Time says South Carolina, Florida, Alabama. I know great places for the retired military people. Florida is definitely number one because of the taxes there. Is that why they go to? I thought they went to Florida for the warm weather. And most people in Florida are plants. And by that, I mean people who are not originally from Florida. They say Florida is a state where you go to start a different life because you didn't like the life where you came from. That's what they say. They say that's why Florida is such a janky state. Like, they wishy-washy because nobody there is from there. I'm like, somebody that's there is from there. Uncle Luke was from there. I'm just saying. You know, Trick Daddy, Trina, Ace, what's his name? Ace something. One of them Florida cats. Okay. Okay. Tom says, son, I couldn't have said it better. No, I believe you need to ring that bell. Okay, fuck it. My brother from another mother, Norris Hill, says usually one looks at things differently after traveling. Why do you think they didn't want black people in the military back in the day? They didn't want them to go and fight because they knew that they would learn something about the possibilities of how life could be outside of the United States if they went. They would realize how disenfranchised they were in their own country while they're fighting for their own country in another country. And that happened for a lot of them. Not nearly enough of them, but okay. Tom says, Carrie, as a young kid, I always knew I was going to travel the world with my parents being from Panama and Costa Rica. And we knew people in Belize, Trinidad, and Jamaica. It was in God's plans. Yeah, I think that pretty much sealed the deal for you, Tom. That pretty much sealed the deal for you. I mean, you got parents that come from another country to come to this country. I don't see how you can stay in this country your whole life. Tori 2200, what's going on, ma? How you feeling? Good to see me some you. Always. Carrie says, I know that it would have happened because I've been making the decision to travel since my early 20s. Plus, I always chose to be someplace other than where I grew up. No, I'm saying that like you never know, like something like an accident could have happened that could have prevented you from going. You could have gotten in a relationship that was so restrictive. You know, dude pinning you down with 7 babies, popping them. Like, even if you wanted to travel, we can't take all these kids nowhere. That's what I'm saying. I just always wonder, and I'm not saying that you can't be sure of where you would have gone in life, but there still have to be questions. There have to be questions, because even the places that I've gone and the directions that I've chosen in my life, a lot of them were the results of me meeting someone who opened up my mind and showed me what could be instead of what I already knew. And you just never know. You just never know how that might go if you chose door 3 instead of door 2. You just never know. Nora says, one of my hometown homies keeps telling me to come to Orlando. Okay. Tom says, my pops is who took me to Belize and Aruba and Trinidad. And this is why when I got my car at an early age, I traveled to New York and with my mom, scared as hell. I hear you. Yeah, man. You know, and not only just the physical places that we've been, but you have to think about where your mindset may have been if you would have chose one place over another, or if you would have chose to do one thing instead of the thing that you chose to do. I don't know if I would have ever been doing this every day. Whatever you think about how I do this every day, I don't know if I would have been doing this every day, because I can honestly tell you that 20 years ago, in 2006, I wasn't thinking about doing this. Not that I didn't like this or had any respect for this, but I hadn't done this and I didn't know anything about this. In 2006, I was doing comedy heavy, and all my ambitions were headed towards that. That's where I wanted to go. That's what I was doing. In 2006, I was auditioning for Def Comedy Jam, and it looked like I was going to do it. It was looking awfully good. I met people, you know, what's his name? Bob Sumner. I met Bob Sumner, and he was the producer for Def Comedy Jam, and he was definitely interested in me. I went in that audition and waxed that ass. And I was like, oh, I know this is about to happen, but it didn't happen. Now, I'm right there in the thick of it, and it didn't happen. But like I said, I wasn't thinking about this. Somebody would have had to show me this. So, hey, it is what it is. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows? In 2006, I was still working in my family's business. And I would have told you in 2006, I will never work for the white man again, ever. Well, guess who I work for? Lord. That's also a decision as well. I ain't have to. I could have done what so many of my peers did. I could have starved in comedy and said, nope, I don't give a fuck what I got to do. I'm going to make it in this. But I wasn't raised to live in my car for a little while. I wasn't raised to have to borrow money or depend on other people or lay up with some chick, you know what I mean, while I got my career together. I wasn't raised to do that shit. So I had to start working because that's what I was raised to do. But I'm a product of the decisions that I made. I could have chose differently. I could have chose much differently. So it's hard to know where your life would have headed. Can I say I never would have met any of y'all, even though I haven't met most of y'all face to face. But can I say I would have never interacted with a Tory 2200. I would have never considered Tom to be my man, even though I've never stood in front of him face to face. Same thing with my brother from another mother. How do I have a brother from another mother that I've never seen, whose hand I've never shook? How do I know? How do I know that we wouldn't have met on another platform? In fact, most of the people that I know from here, that I know on here, I met on Facebook. So I didn't meet them here. We were on another platform that took us to this platform. So how do I don't know for sure that I would have never interacted. Something attracts you to people and something attracts people to you. And you put yourself in those places, or God or the universe puts you in those places for you to be discovered. But you never know. I don't know if I would have ever interacted with y'all before. I'm glad I did. But if you look, like T. Carey Wright been rocking out since what, 2014? Ansel, I think Ansel been rocking, I would say what, like 2018? What is it, Ansel? 2017 to 2018, 19, some shit like that. I'm just talking about the people who came over here from Facebook. Same thing with Norris. I think like 2016, 2017, some shit like that. 3 years ago, I didn't know Time. Tory 2200. I didn't know y'all. Marvina. I think Marvina just, what, a year? Something like that. So I can say that I would have never interacted with y'all. I would have never discovered y'all. Y'all would have never discovered me. I don't know that for a fact because I don't feel like I had a lot of control over y'all getting here now. I don't feel like I had control over that. Y'all had more control than I did. Y'all found me. Trust me, if I had a way to go find y'all, I would do it. But things the universe kind of works it out the way it works out. It really does. And I don't know what would have happened if I would have done this instead of that. I don't know. Am I always satisfied with exactly what happened? Hell no. Are any of us? Not all the time, but shit. When it's working, it's working. Let me see. Hold on. Time says Carrie. At the time, we had to get on that TWA plane with the whole family. Mom's on one plane with the girls and Pops on a plane with the boys. We had no babysitters back then. Wow. Carrie says, men have tried, but I was always compelled to travel. I do wonder what would have happened if I had a kid with my late ex. He was military, but preferred the Carolinas. Life would have been meh. Tom says, and we came back with a whole sugar cane. We came back with liquor. We came back with a whole bunch of bushes and herbs and not that herb. TWA was awesome. Okay. Okay, says Tom, my family is diverse. I can relate. Sugarcane and tamarind, and I know I'm saying that wrong, were staples in our house. Okay. And so it says, I learned the meaning of platonic relationships, age 18. I knew nothing about nothing important. Interesting. Tom says sugar cane was the thing for us. We couldn't wait to get to Costa Rica and the islands just for the sugar canes to and from the coconut, pure water gel out of the coconut. Tori says, it's a small world, son. You have no idea. You ain't never done lied. But the only thing we know, Tori, is the results. We know the results for sure. the causes sometimes are a little murky. The causes sometimes leave us a little like, I don't know. Make sure y'all hit that like button though. Hit the like button for me, y'all. That's all I ask of you. That's all I ask of you. Bump City said, or was it 2017? Yo, I'm not sure. No, I know that you used to rock with me on Facebook. We didn't come over here we didn't commit to coming over here till 2020. I was playing with it in 2019. We committed to coming over here in 2020. I said, I'm getting off Facebook. And the reason I got off Facebook is because on a social media platform, you can put a show on social media, but it's going to die after a while. At first, people going to be rocking with you, but you got to understand, people are not at least from my point of view. And I had 5,000 friends. I had the max friends before they started letting you have all these followers and all of this shit, unlimited followers. I had the max of friends that you could have on Facebook, which was 5,000. Out of that 5,000, how many you think listen to my show every day? Every day? It wasn't like that. Maybe you and Carrie might have been 2 of the 10 that I probably could count on to listen to the show on a regular basis, watch the show on a regular basis. People are on social media for whatever they're on social media for. So whether they're on social media to laugh, to watch watch short videos, to connect with their old friends and old contacts and all that kind of shit, they on there for what they on there for. But once they see Omar McIntyre is live, they eventually they're gonna push. All right, I'm tired of getting that notification. Turn off notifications for when Omar goes live, and that's what happened. So I said I need to go to a platform where they come for this, where it ain't none of that other shit, where they not going over there to watch ass, send dick pics, and get in their inbox and all that kind of shit. I think that's the reason why YouTube don't have an inbox. They're like, nah. You keep your mind on the videos, fool. No inbox for you. No. But anyway, so that's how that happened. Oh, you said, oh yeah, winner of 2016-17. Okay. We got it. Time says, son. Wait, what was the gear for you? Was the gear for me in the fact? Oh, it was the gear for me and the fact that you did not hide your alcoholism. You was pure and authentic to the people in the chat, and those are the best people to talk to rather than doctors. Oh, okay. So my transparency is what drew you in. All right, cool. I'm definitely cool with that. Yeah, man, listen, if you're gonna be a public figure, you got to get your shit together. You got to get comfortable with yourself in ways that other people probably ain't gonna be able to do. So I'd rather go to Mr. Reeves, who was working on cars for 40 years, than to go to the car shop to get my car fixed. And I would do it every time. I hear that. And that's a good analogy too. Toy says Bob Sumner is my cousin on my dad's side. Get the fuck out of here. I used to write jokes for New Comics, not Def Jam comedy, but smaller arenas. Get the fuck out. That's some shit. He was a cool dude. He was really trying to help me. He was like, because I was they had this showcase. They came to they came in 2006. No, I auditioned for Def Jam at the end of 2006, like December. And they were supposed to have called me in like January or whatever to be on the showcase that was going to be that spring. So it wasn't the Def Comedy Jam that you see on the on HBO, but it was going. They had a showcase where they were. This is like when smartphones were really just starting to blow up. So they had these showcases where they had these short videos for the phones, and he was trying to put me on that, but I had a little beef with the people at the Laugh House in Philly. And I can't prove it if Troy was here, because Troy was on that same contest. And it was funny because the way it went was we was in a comedy troupe, me and Troy, with another comedian and two other comedians. And the top comedian of us, our faithful leader, he was called to go on stage and audition first. He was not prepared to do that because he had already been stamped in the industry. You know what I mean? He figured he had juice or whatever, but they wanted to start off the contest with somebody that was strong. So he went on there. He didn't stink it up, but he wasn't really ready to go. And they damn near had to pull him off of that stage. He's like, how could y'all do this to me? Anyway, Troy went on, like all of the other comedians that was supposed to be so great, they went on and they wasn't really rocking. They was all right. You could say that they was warming up the stage, but they was just all right. Troy went on and tore shit up. It was like, oh, we getting ready now. Then this other boy went on after him and rode that wave, and he was wrecking shit. And the crazy thing about him is he wasn't down to Laugh House. He didn't come and perform at the Laugh House a lot. And so Troy went in and really did good. Oh shit. Troy gonna tell you about this shit. Funny you should call right now. Funny you should call right now, Troy.
You know what happened? God said, son was telling a story, and God said, call it.
Well,
son, he had to verify. He wanted to make sure that his brother was saying everything truthfully, and people might doubt it. So get out.
All right. Well, let me finish the story from my perspective, and then you can go ahead and interject how you need to. All right. So, like I said, Troy went in. He tore shit up. He is, in my opinion, he was the first real comic to that sounded like he was in the contest. And then the next boy, who wasn't a regular performer at the Laugh House, he did like independent promotions outside of the Laugh House. He didn't depend on the Laugh House to get him where he is today. That was my man, Chris Kennedy. Chris Kennedy went on and tore shit down too. So I'm up next. Like, damn, these two motherfuckers that came in and tore shit up. So I can't go up there and fail. I went up there and fucked that stage up. Ripped it to shreds. So when I get off stage, Bob Sumner called me over like, yo, I like what you doing. So he was like, yo, you gonna hear from me. Come to find out, Troy had got his number. Troy gave me his number. I called him. He was like, yo, that's what's up. I want you to come up to Jersey, because he was doing this, what was the name of that spot? Up in Jersey, up in like North Jersey, whatever. He was like, come up there, you know what I mean? Come up there and you know, I want to see you away from the Laugh House and see what you got. I went up there, tore shit up in front of two of my enemies that will remain unnamed or whatever. One of them, well, anyway. So that's what happened with that. So I kept in touch with Bob for a while after that. And the next year, the Laugh House wouldn't let me perform there at all. Straight shitted on me. So I had to go all the way down North Carolina. I drove down North Carolina down to Charlotte and performed on that stage to in another contest to be on Def Comedy Jam. So I never made it to Def Comedy Jam, but I did meet Bob. But these are the things that was going on in my life in 2006. So so in 2006, I wasn't thinking about this. This wasn't in the equation yet. I hadn't done any radio. I hadn't done any of that kind of shit. So that was that. Troy, it's on you. So what you gonna do?
You hear the hand clapping. Tremendous story, all true. So true. You know what I mean? He told the truth on all that. You know, the only part that he didn't know, that he didn't mention is that we were put on, there was a showcase at the, I think you might have mentioned it, but I might have been calling in at the time. That when we were put on the showcase at the Laugh House, and they didn't contact us to tell us that we were coming to be supposed to have been on that showcase.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have been on that showcase at the Laugh House, whereas though you didn't even have to really go to Jersey, we could have been on that showcase, but they didn't contact us. The night I found out about the showcase is when I was getting ready to go down there, and I found out that they put other comedians that didn't even do good on the showcase. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they put these comedians on the showcase is because they were able to bring a crowd down there. They were able to sell tickets for the Laugh House. Not the fact they were funny. Because a couple of them, it was like the chick they put on there was ass. You know. But
well, that's not the that's it's funny because that's not the story. That's not what Bob Sumner told me. Bob Sumner told me. Huh?
Go ahead.
Coming straight from his mouth. He said the only reason you're not on the showcase is because they want to introduce young up and coming talent. Because me and you was 36.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted people like in they like young 20s or whatever, looking like. But I'm like, so how does that explain Sugar Bear and Teray? But everybody has the answer to everybody. So they probably made the decision, was being as though Teray made it all the way to Def Comedy Jam. They probably said, well, we got to stamp him. He did do really good in the contest, and he was already plugged in for years, so people knew him. Sugar Bear, sort of the same thing, sort of the New York connection. He knew a lot of comics and whatever. He had been doing it for a long time, but the rest of the comics, I mean, it pretty much fit the profile that he was talking about because they were. They were in their young 20s and all of that kind of shit. So I don't think he wasn't totally lying. You know what I mean?
No.
He wasn't lying. And that does make sense when you think about how TV works. We was over the hill. You know what I mean? But for them, they looking at even though those comics they didn't do that well in the contest. I'm not going to say they weren't good because there were comics in there that were really good and turned out to be really good. But at that time, many of them were still learning their place on stage. Like one of the dudes that they chose, he fucked up the showcase. From what I heard, everybody was like, "Yo, why did y'all pick him?" Hey. But it was just like the real Def Comedy Jam.
That he didn't make that the laugh wasn't there.
He was the only one that didn't do well.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he stunk it up.
And when
But
the thing about it,
he had that Def Jam credit. He had it. He had it.
And the thing about that whole situation was when you was going through the ordeal with the Laugh House, I was to add to my story. I had I think that was around the same time I had went to audition for no, what was that? What was the show that came on NBC? Last Comic Standing.
Mm.
That's when I auditioned for Last Comic Standing. Slept in the car, woke up, and stood outside for hours and hours. I seen all these Corey Fernandez and all these other people rushing. They was just bringing them in. People who already has established themselves as comedians were already brought in front of everybody. So now I'm getting to learn the side part of how comedy works. If you already part of the scene, they're going to just start bringing. You'll be pushed to the front of the line. But I made it to the round before the TV round. I was told that I was told that everything was funny, but we don't need a Mel Monique. And I was like, well, I don't even know what you mean by Mel Monique, but thank you. The fact that I was able, see, a lot of people don't understand this, son. When you're able to put yourself in a category and show that you belong in something that you never thought you belonged in, and you hold your own with people that have been in this game for years, and these people, the people that you thought as though were on a higher level, you're on that level. And then sometimes when you're on that level, and sometimes when you perform with them, you even higher than them. It's like, wow, these the same comedians I done seen on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what they meant by a Mel Monique is, I'm a big guy. So I used to say, but the thing is, there's a difference between being a big guy and a big woman. And my jokes was more authentic than Monique's because I can't speak on the perspective of a woman, but I damn sure can speak on the perspective of myself. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I was just happy to be able to make it. And then everybody at Philly that went down with us, that was down there, didn't even make it to the next round. So we made it to the interview, but they didn't make it to the next round. So he was looking at me like, look at this motherfucker, boy. They couldn't stand me, man.
All right. So we talking about how do we know what would have happened if we would have chose one way other than what we did choose. So shit. Have you ever wondered like what would have happened with you had you, I don't know, maybe not got married, not had children when you had them, not worked where you worked, whatever you did in your younger life or any stage in your life. A lot of times we talk about if I would have done this, that, and the third, I would be here now. I would have been doing this. Or, I've heard a lot of women say things like, yo, if I wouldn't have been messing around with that nigga, you know what I mean? My career would have been so far because I was really doing it. I was on the pathway. I was making my own. I was doing for myself. I was blah, 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 blah. Got caught up with his ass. He planted 3 babies in me. You know what I mean? He ain't want to see me doing as well as he was doing, or he ain't want to see me doing better than him. Blah, 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 blah. And the question stands to wonder. Like, how do you know?
This is a tremendous topic, bro. And one thing about you have a tendency to bring up a topic that is relevant because this shit is so much relevant into my life. Because before I became a chef, Chef Tom 18188, before I became a chef, I was just a regular so it was just I was working at this place called the Clan Bar. And it was really my introduction into cooking. But after I left the Clan Bar, I tried to get a job as a correctional officer. right? And I had to go through the PDQ book, fill out the PDQ book, and turn back around. And they said, well, if you answer everything in the PDQ book before you get to the lie detector desk, then it should be no problem. Answer everything truthfully. I said, all right. So I was writing down, they asked me to answer all these questions truthfully. And I got to the point when they asked me, have I ever been around anybody that smoked, that did drugs or sold drugs? And when I got to that question, I started laughing because just 2, 3 weeks before that, we was on our way down Virginia Beach, and my and my bull, one of my bulls that's real tight with me. You know, I tell you I call you my boy, I call you my brother. You know, and I was like, I turned back around and I opened up the glove compartment, and all these pre-roll joints fell out the glove compartment. So I was already laughing like, this is a dumbass question right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I filled it out correctly. And in the same process, I was looking for a job. So I heard the Marriott Hotel in Philadelphia at the airport was opening up and they needed people. And I went there. I got turned down for the correction officer job because they said I was around people that sold drugs and did drugs. And I put the appeal letter in already. But just by the grace of God, they hired me at the Marriott as a dishwasher. And I just wanted to get my foot in the door. 6 months down the line, I worked my ass off so much and I wanted to be a cook so bad. I worked cold side cook, cold side prep. 2 months after that, I got promoted to the hotline and I worked from third cook to first cook. And then about a week or so after that, I went over and I started working with the banquet department. And that my mentor named Malachi Brown, I call him my sensei. You know, and the rest is history. So, you know, if I kept going the way I wanted to go, I could have been a correction officer. I knew my appeal letter would have went through, and it did. But I think that I wouldn't have been great at a correction officer, and I would have left, and I would have quit because that's not really the environment I wanted to be a part of. But by the grace of God, I got the cook position, and I've been a chef for 31 years.
Now, how do you think that impacts the people that you've met, the places that you've gone, the things that you've experienced? Like, all right, you're a pretty sociable person. Mm-hmm. So I think that me knowing you, I think that you would have made friends either way. But how do you look at the path that you took, the path that you chose, versus had you gone into, because you went to college too, right?
Yes, I did.
All right. So did you go to college straight out of high school?
No, I didn't go straight out of high school.
Okay.
I didn't go straight out of high school. It might maybe been 2 years after that.
So you didn't go to college till you was like 20?
Yeah, till about 20 years old.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So let's start back there.
Matter of fact, I did 1 year community. I took 1 year off, you know, and then I went to college because I was able to get this like somewhat of a scholarship.
Well, you realize community is a college, right?
Yeah, I had to break it down like that. I went to community for 1 year, community college.
All right. So wait. So you went to community college when? 2 years after high school, or when did you go?
About a year after high school, I went to community.
All right. So you worked for a year.
Right.
All right. So in addition to working, what was your life like? What were your day-to-day activities that year before you decided to go to college or to start taking classes?
Well, my days that year, shit, I'm not going to lie to you. I was still in high school after I graduated high school. After that, I was in party mode.
Speak on it, because this is important. This is important. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's why I asked. Because
I was in party. Life was really life, and then it wasn't hard. Mom was like, look, just give me a couple of dollars for the bills. You can live your life. Go ahead. She said, live your life. I said, hey. I was right.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, to me, it wasn't a worry in the world because as long as I looked out for my mom and everything, she pretty much was like, you know, I mean, and at the time of that, I was like I said, I couldn't wait until to Friday. I couldn't wait till Saturday. I couldn't wait until Sunday. I couldn't wait till them days, because those were my party days.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was all party between work. I used to work. I used to party up until about 6:37 in the morning, and then go to work at 8, 9 o'clock.
Okay. So, like you said, your life hadn't changed that much after you got out of high school, except for the fact that you
No,
didn't have to go to high school, right?
right.
All right. So when did you have your first child?
When did I have what?
Your first child.
I had my first child, 90, 94,
Oh, okay. So you were like 23, 24?
20, about 24, yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought it happened earlier than that. All right. So all right,
No,
let me fall
no.
back. Let me fall back then. Cool. So you ever think about what would have happened if you would have had a child young, like 18, 19?
I think that if I had a child younger at 18, 19, I think it would have matured me a little bit better. It would have grew me up better.
You think you would have
You know what I
stepped up?
mean?
You think
I
you
would
would
have
have?
stepped up sooner than I did when I had my first child. Because when I had my first child, you know, I stepped up a little bit, and I stepped up even more. But when I had my second child, oh no, I was working three, 4 jobs at one time.
Okay. Okay.
It was like three. It was 2 part-time and 2 full-time jobs,
Okay.
and I really didn't care. Like, as long as I was on my hustle and flow right there. Them days was like a blur because I still can't remember shit. I still don't remember a lot of some of the shit that I was doing at the time.
All
And I
right.
was working so much that I was just grinding and grinding and grinding. And my first children's mom, she didn't have to work at all. She didn't work at all.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, you know, I in a house that was owned, I owned the building. Me and my mom owned the house. We had a duplex,
Okay.
and my mom lived on the first floor, and I lived on the third floor. And my
Okay.
brother had rented the second floor. So at the end of the day, it was a family duplex, and everything was going the way it was supposed to go. But I was working. At one point I was working at Acme Market. I was working at a water ice stand. I was working at the Spectrum as part of the cleaning crew, and I was working at Consumers. When you go in there, you fill out the paperwork, you order what you order, and they send everything out in the front. And you pay for it.
Okay.
So I was working 4 jobs at one time.
Okay. So if you had to guess, coming straight out of high school, what do you think your life would have been like had you not had the option to stay at home and work and figure out what you wanted to do? You
I
ever
think
think
that
about
if
wait.
I
Let
think
me
that
hold on. Let me
if I
be
didn't have that
hold on,
option,
hold on. Let
like
me
I
be
said, it's
more
the same thing about
hold on. Let me
having.
be more specific. Let me ask you, what do you think would have happened had your mom insisted that you go to college right out of high school or go into the military or something like that right out of high school? How do,
Well, first and
or
foremost,
even move out?
yeah, it was either move out or go to college because there was not going to be no military.
Okay.
That was going to be out of the question because I didn't even. It's not that I don't respect the military or individuals that went to the military. I just knew that wasn't part of my lifestyle. And that's not something that I wanted to do. No, I mean, that's number one. But number two, if my mom insisted that I move out or I go to college, then it would have been I would have went to college. You know. But the thing about it is that college, a lot of people don't understand that, and some people do. College ain't for everyone. College is not for everyone. I went to college and I turned back around and regardless of what degree you get, I'm in a field that I love. You're gonna find that you're gonna do what you love and love what you do, regardless whether you go to college or not. So you turn back around. I think that the changes that you can go the path of college, but if I had went to college, I think life would have been different too. I mean, had I went to college earlier, I think life would have been different too.
Okay.
I think it would have matured me just as well as having a child. That would have matured me just as well. I think the things that you do, the things that you do that can grow you into an adult will mature you quicker as an adult.
Well, the thing is,
Opposed to
the thing is, you're an adult just because you have the age to prove it. You know what I mean?
right.
But when we talk about you as a person, and when we talk about the path that you chose, like sometimes you could look at the path like you chose the path, you forged the path, or the path was laid out for you. So that's
Yeah.
basically what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to ask you about.
I can understand that.
And there's a lot of This is all speculation. You know what I mean? You can't. Well, in my opinion, it's all speculation because we don't know. We know what happened. We don't know what would have happened, but by some things, by some things that we had going on, or the ways that we were thinking, or the things that we were doing, or the mindset that we had, we can kind of say like, if this would have happened, I probably, because of the way I was at that time, I probably would have done this or that or whatever. But we don't know what doing this or that or whatever would have gave birth to next, and would have made us make another decision in that way. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
because to be perfectly honest, right, it's like when I'm at work or I'm working and it's getting stressful, or and it's till this day,
mhm.
when I'm at work or I'm getting stressed at work and I get frustrated, or I see my pay stub after I get my direct deposit, I always say out loud, "Damn, I should have been slinging crack rock or had a wicked jump shot.
I hear you.
I should have been a drug dealer, man. I should have been a drug dealer. I should have sold them drugs, man. But then I always go back to myself and be like, no, this is the path I went.
Yeah, because
but
we may not be having this conversation. You may not be alive to speak about this had you done that.
There we go. So I mean, at the end of the day, you want the prestige of having a lot of De Niro's and them coins, but it's more of a risk with life in prison or death.
Not just that,
So,
you grew up around a lot of drug dealers. I grew up around a lot of drug dealers. You grew up around drugs. I grew up around drugs or whatever. Even though you didn't use, I didn't use. I didn't sell, you didn't sell, and all that kind of shit. But being close to it, shows you, gives you a different kind of experience that you can speak from. But one thing I learned about the whole drug game thing is, I don't care whether you are the user or the dealer. It's not as easy as it looks. Motherfuckers make it look like the money is just coming in and whatever. But what it takes to be a drug dealer is, first of all, you have to learn how to be a scientist, a mathematician, and you have to learn how to be a promoter. And motherfuckers don't see that side of the game. They only see the results of it. Whether it's the success coming from the money, or whether it's the illegality of it, or whether it's the consequences of it, like the jail or the death or the destruction, the hurt, the pain, and all that kind of shit. But it's not as easy as motherfuckers think it is. It's really not.
That's the truth.
And so there's a reason that I didn't choose that path. There's a reason you didn't choose that path. And you lived in that reason at that time. And sometimes we don't always remember why we chose not to, because the money was there.
But I do remember why I chose not to.
Okay. No, I'm not. When I said we, I don't mean you and I. I know you. Yeah, I know you know why you didn't. And I know why I didn't. The reason you didn't is different than the reason I didn't. I knew I wasn't built for that. I'm not running from the law for the rest of my life. I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been able to deal with the stress of having motherfuckers want to kill me over blocks and real estate. No, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, there were options out there that could have been chosen if we chose. And we don't know who we would have met, how things would have gone, what other choices we would have had to have made, and what other path that we may have had to have chosen from had we done one thing over another thing. So I don't think that it's productive to spend your whole life lamenting over the decisions that you made, or contemplating or speculating, I should say, over what would have happened had you done one thing over another. Because you could do that shit as far as your career is concerned. You could do that as far as your education is concerned. You can absolutely do it as far as your relationships are concerned. We knew people who got married young as shit, coming straight out of high school. I knew people that got married. I'm like, you did what? And that's nothing compared to how many teenage pregnancies that we may have witnessed since age 12.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you think about, I knew girls that had babies at age 12 and 13. And I'm thinking, like, if they are alive today, their children grew up with them literally. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Think about the decisions that they had to make. Can you imagine being a 12-year-old girl with a baby in your belly?
Mm-hmm.
Or a 13 or 14-year-old boy talking about you got a baby on the way. A what? And what you mean? What am I going to do? Well, I knew
people. Ain't no more Flintstone for you.
I was in 8th grade. And I knew this boy from Haynes Street. My Philly people know where I'm talking about. From Haynes Street. In the 8th grade, he was on his second baby. He was 15 in the 8th grade on his second baby. And I remember him half-ass bragging about it. Like, yeah, this is my second one. And I'm looking at this nigga like,
they ain't your brother or sister? God damn.
And his mom worked at the school.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? So looking at him, and we was all looking at him because he had an experience that none of us had. We all looking at him like, I tell you, boy, the projects put out some shit. But yeah. And I saw him years later. He's still alive. I saw him years later. Looked like a drug dealer to me. But he was 15 in the 8th grade. You do with that what you will. You know what I mean? With 2 babies. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, nowadays he probably takes a look at the path he chose. Like, what the fuck? I mean, he probably got 9 kids now. If he stayed on that path, I don't even know how high school turned out. But yeah, man, that's it. We can always speculate on what would have happened if we would have done this, that, and the third. But it's crazy. Hold on. Tory 2200 says, if I didn't get married at a young age, I would have been in the arts, music, acting, or fashion. I had my foot in the door. Back then, people were coming out of high school pregnant with 3rd child. Exactly. And that's why it kills me whenever they try to act like teenage pregnancy is something new. I'm like, shit, it's almost non-existent now. I don't see these young girls running around here with no bellies. When I was in high school in the 70s and the 80s, that was a regular shit.
You ain't, in your favorite word, you ain't never lied.
Man, It wasn't nothing. It was expected.
That was part of society. It was so bad that they had to. It was shit. I honestly think parts of Planned Parenthood was started because of so many pregnancies coming back in the day.
Man, I hate to say this shit, but it was almost like a badge of honor to make it through high school without a pregnancy. Whether you had the baby, or not. It wasn't as easy as it sounds. You know what I mean? It wasn't as easy as it sounds. Not by the evidence that was presented to me. Shit, it was a lot of fucking going on in the 80s.
Like, I know one of my biggest regrets, and I know that if I didn't make this decision, I would have been in Hollywood, or I would have been living off of comedy or doing something. I would have been into entertainment. If I didn't get married and then fall in love with comedy, I knew I would have been further ahead in comedy.
Now, you know how can you say that? Okay.
Because at some point I know that I had to put my relationship in front of. That's why so many comedians that don't go, that's not in relationships, like the group that we were with, we were all with, right? Well, everybody that we were coming down the Laugh House with, it was only maybe 2 or 3 people that was married. It was myself and the loudmouth one.
Okay.
You know, there's a difference between being married and having a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're married, you dug into your relationship and you already established yourself in your relationship. When you got a girlfriend, you sit back and you turn back around, you be like, well, I can we go through, we don't got no children, I can go out here and do whatever the fuck I want to do. Well, it's over. I'm trying to do this comedy thing. And there's one comedian that did that. He risked his relationship for the betterment of just going straight comedy and making it to that next point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I mean, the way that I was moving, I was on the uptick. I was on going upwardly towards comedy. You know, I done with the Jordans over Jersey. I blew that stage up maybe 2-3 times with Marlon Randolph.
Wait a minute, hold on. Before you get into that, let me slow you down a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Because you can say that you would have been blown up in Hollywood and all of that, but you didn't discover comedy until you were married. So right. How do you know that you would have chose it before?
Well, I discovered it before then. I just didn't. My fear of doing it. I didn't give a fuck attitude was discovered when I did comedy. See, at the time that back in the 90s, a friend of mine, me and him used to play the dozens, cracking jokes on each other, busting jokes on each other, right? And he came to me, he was like, yo, I'm going to go down to Laugh House, start doing comedy. Just in about 96. Mm-hmm. He said, can you help me write some jokes? I'm like, I said, I'm going to help him write some jokes, this, that, and other. So I had helped him write jokes. And I was going to start doing it myself, but my fear of getting on the stage didn't allow me to. So at the time, comedy really, really saved my life. Because at the time, I was out of work. I just had ligament repair surgery on my right ankle, the same ankle I got shot in. And I was depressed. I'm talking about like, let me end this shit depressed. Because I couldn't do what I wanted to do for a living. Plus, I wasn't bringing the finances in with work compensation paying me as I should. So when I went to started doing comedy, all my insecurities, everything that can set me back, I didn't give 2 shits about. So I know that my hunger through comedy would have took me far.
But
I know that I would have led myself to that place because I was so fucking hungry. You keep forgetting. You don't forget shit. We was hungry as shit, son.
Yeah, but still, I stepped on stage July 17th, 2002. And I never thought of it 3 years before then. Even I always wanted to try it, but I had no plan of doing it. You understand what I'm saying? So I can't say that, okay, all right, if you say that me and you was hungry, and we was making moves, we was doing things, we was networking, we was doing what we was supposed to do. But I don't know if I could say, all right, I could sit in front of this camera right now and be like, listen, had I not done this, that, and the third, or decided to get out of comedy altogether in 2016, 17, or whenever I stopped, I might have been doing this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. But I can't honestly say that because there was always something, saying like, nah, man, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? This is not exactly what I want to do anymore. Like, it doesn't give me the same type of satisfaction as it may have given me at one time. So when I hear you say that I probably would have been in Hollywood doing this, that, and the third, had I not got married or whatever, but you didn't start actually getting on stage until you were married. I mean, somebody else might say that maybe it was marriage that made you get on stage in the first place. Maybe it was the confidence of fatherhood and marriage or whatever that gave you the gumption to know that you could go up there and do something different than what you had been doing before. So I think it probably takes a little bit more thought to say where you would have been had it not been for your relationship. I mean, your marriage. You just don't really know because you had opportunities, to take it to the next level too. And not saying that you failed at those opportunities, but one thing I learned about chasing fame and trying to make it in show business is consistency is paramount. Like you gotta keep pushing. You can't be in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. You gotta keep going and going and going. And the keep going part is often the most demoralizing part. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if your mind is anywhere except for get on stage, you find another way to get on stage, get paid, find another way to get on stage, get paid, find another way to get on stage, get paid, travel, find another way to get on stage, get paid. If your mind is anywhere else besides that, it's going to be easy to derail you for a little while. Mm-hmm. And you can't really, when you see the dudes, and not just the dudes, but the people who have been successful in stand-up comedy or any other profession, one thing you'll notice about them is that they sold out everything else for this shit. And they're able to keep those appointments that are made for them. Mm-hmm. Whether it's an audition, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a contest, whatever, they're able to do it. And that comes first before everything else. I look at the boy, one of the people that amazes me that he's still doing this shit is the police officer boy, Timmy Hall from Baltimore. Who? Tim Hall. Yeah, Timmy Hall. He's still doing this shit.
From Baltimore. Yeah.
He funny as shit. And this motherfucker has kept his goddamn cop job and still a national comedian. Who the fuck does that? So he's very much the exception to the rule. Mm-hmm. Because, from what I know, most people would have said, yeah, I mean, the hell with this cop shit. Nah. I saw his name on a flyer recently. Like, the fuck? So, yeah. So evidently he made time for what he's trying to do, and you know, and he's still doing it. So I guess comedy is supplementing his income or whatever, but he's doing what most wouldn't do. Most would have done comedy full time. From what I know, he's still a cop. And shit, it been 20 years since I met him.
Yeah.
By now, he could have retired from the force.
Yeah. That's just we also got another brother that's been working at the hospital since he's been doing comedy. He might not be national, but locally he tore the shit. He's tearing the shit down, still hosting and doing all that.
He gets money he got. He get money he got. Hey, it is what it. But
he's in that shop. What shit? He been doing it for comedy for 30-something years. For 30 years, I guess, more than that.
Well, and from my conversations with him back then, you know, he talked about like if he would have more time to do this and only focus on that, he would have been this, he would have been that, and all. But we don't know what would have happened. He found a way. He found a way to, you know, to become. Let me just say, he found a way to make a living off of this shit without giving up his security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a decision that he made. He found a way to work it in. Other people have found ways to work in what they wanted to work in. But how do we know what would have happened with them had they did something else or us?
That, you know, that's true. That's true. You know, it's just everything is speculation. You know, you speculating on what you think that could have happened, or you thinking of where you thought you would be. You know, but at the end of the day, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. I'll give it to my mom. My mom, you know, she always talks about how she was a salesman and she was a seamstress, and you know, she was hustling. She was getting a hustle on. She was getting money. And that was one of the things that attracted my dad to her. And but he wanted her to stop being a hustler and be a stay-at-home mom or whatever, while he was out in the streets making other families and shit. And she talks about it like, but she never talks about it in terms of, yo, I would have been this, I would have had all this, but she does always say, well, often say, I would have been making a lot more money than I'm making now because I was making a lot more money. There were times when you know, let her tell it. There was times even with his business, she was making more money than him because she was hustling. Man, you know, when you're a salesperson and when you're a salesperson, you got that gift. You know what I mean? That money gonna come in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So those commissions that she was getting, I mean, it was Tupperware, vacuum cleaners. She sold sex products and all. She was a hustler. She wasn't going to sit on her ass and collect a check. That wasn't going to happen. So, but I always respected the fact that she didn't kick it like she was going to be some kind of superstar. You know, had it not been for my dad, she don't blame him for keeping her down, but she acknowledges the choices that she made. You know, I'm like, I can't be mad at that. You know what I mean?
You know, we all can sit back and say, you know, had we did, if we did, what we should have done. But I always look at things as God's plan. You know, the decisions you make are the decisions you make. And the man, my mom is my mom always told me, she said, whatever decision you make, always remember, when times get hard, he'll help you make it through it. You know, and I've experienced that as of late. You know, I've experienced that even more as of late. You know, so I mean, right now, I think that the way my life is going is the way it's supposed to be. You got to go through hell to get to heaven. You got to fall down so you can get back up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I can sit back and say, if I would have did this, I would have made this decision, and I turned left and I didn't go right, or if I just kept straight. No, it's not what I wanted to do. I did what I felt as though was best for myself, and even if things is not the way I want it to be, I'm here, and I can make things. Every day is a way of making things the right way. You know, whether you 18, 30. I mean, when you're 18 in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, every day you wake up, you got to always make a better version of yourself.
Well,
And stop
what?
speculating on.
Well, what? Wait a minute. Because what about when you feel like you have made the right decision? And I've heard people say that, yo, like if I didn't go into the military, I would have been at home, probably getting high every day, and been on welfare because that might have been the family that they came from.
Yes.
I've heard people say that, and I always wondered, like, with the ambition, the drive, the energy that you display, what makes you think you would have submitted to that? You're
Mhm.
like I know that it's one thing to understand that you might be a product of your environment, but how do you know that the influence of your environment would have eventually overcome you or taken over you if it wasn't already doing that? Like it's one thing if you ran to the military because you was already in trouble with the law and shit and you was starting to get into shit, you know what I mean? But if it was a
Right.
situation where you was watching everybody around you just fall like dominoes and you said to yourself like, because like for example, like my dad, that was his reasoning for going into the military. He said he said that he was working as a laborer on a construction site out there in Chichester, out there in Delaware County, right? And he
Right.
said the white man, he went to his boss, Mr. Mick whatever, and he said to him, this might this might resonate with you, Troy. He went to his boss and he said, listen, I want to learn how to be a skilled labor. You know what I mean? I want to learn how to, to actually work the machines or lay the bricks or, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Right. Mhm.
And his boss said, okay, I'm going to ask my wife. I'm going to discuss that with my wife and I'll get back to you. And my dad is 19 years old, just came up to Chester to be with his pop because he wasn't raised by his mom or his dad. He was raised by his grandparents. And after high school, he came up to Chester and was chilling with his dad, working as a laborer. And then so he went back to his boss after some weeks went by, whatever. He was like, "Listen, what did your wife say about? What did your wife say about me being a skilled technician, whatever?" He said, "My wife don't think that that's a good idea."
Wow.
He said,
You know her.
he said, and then the next week he had enlisted in the army. He already had a child. You know what I mean? Like, think about what fucking Chichester was like. Forget about Chester, the city of Chester. Think about what Chichester is like. When you going out like Chichester, Marcus Hook, like out that way. You know what I mean? And my grandfather was living in this little part of Chichester called Twin Oaks. You got to be deep in Delaware County to know where I'm talking about and shit, because the shit is only like a few blocks. But anyway, so he saw what was going on around him. People drinking, you know what I mean, just working day to day, trying to get in the union, not really doing shit with their lives except for living it. And he said, nah, that ain't it. That ain't it. I got a baby on the way. Nah, I'm gonna go into the army and find me a better way. Cause I guess him going to college or whatever, that probably wasn't an option because of the money. And I don't know if he knew about how to get the financial aid or whatever, but it probably would have been hard for him because of the people that he was around, because nobody was doing that. Nobody was on that path. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was. So I tell that story because just because a bunch of shit was going on around you that was negative, you can't necessarily say you would have fallen into that had you not chose a better path. But I should say you can't say that with any certainty, because it's still speculation one way or another way. But yeah, it's not always I would have been great if I would have done this. For some people is I wouldn't have been nothing if I didn't meet this person or if I didn't do this. Or think about what Beanie, what did Beanie say on that song? He said, until I met Jay, after I met Jay, my life had changed and blah, 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 blah. Then years later, he talking about, like, fuck Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? Like, huh. You know what I mean? Like, if you look at Beanie Siegel's story, him becoming a top rapper wasn't going to be no easy path. Being as though, given what he was actually doing at the time. But just because you can rap, don't mean you're going to be a great rapper. Just because you can tell jokes doesn't mean you're going to be a great comedian. Just because you can act your ass off don't mean that you're going to be a top actor. We get opportunities along the way and we make choices based on those opportunities. Sometimes we don't seize those opportunities. It doesn't mean that that's going to be our last opportunity though. But, so often we speculate on what would have happened had we capitalized on those opportunities or not. So yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know. When I got out of high school, like I said, I didn't work that first semester. I'm sorry. I didn't go to school that first semester. I don't know what would have happened if I would have took a whole year off. I'm working at City Blue. One thing I know for a fact, I wasn't satisfied working at City Blue no more. For me, City Blue was a job that I worked after high school. Right. As an 18-year-old man is how I was looking at myself. Well, 18-year-old kid, because I didn't consider myself to be grown at 18. But as an 18-year-old kid, that wasn't it. I quit working at City Blue, even though I wasn't in school yet. When I went to Penn State in spring, in January of '89, I hadn't been accepted in school yet. But I quit City Blue in December. I was like, no, I'm getting out of here. And I was making good money. But that money wasn't good enough for me, for what I thought of myself. I was like, nah. And I went down. My sister took me down to Atlantic City because she was working in AC. What I thought she was a waitress. She wasn't no dealer. She was a waitress. I thought she was a waitress down in AC. She was a hostess. And I used to be like, how you getting all this money as a hostess? No, don't nobody tip a hostess. Well, she was getting her Tony Montana on down at AC in 86, 88, 89. You know what I mean? So she was getting her straight Tony Montana on and shit. So I went to AC with her on the bus. She showed me, all right, you got to go to South Philly, go to Broad Snyder, get on the bus. They give you 20. Yeah, they give you $20 to get on the bus. You can get there and get home and blah blah blah. I went down there, applied, got the position or whatever, but I got robbed on the bus going back to South Philly.
What?
Fell asleep on some real shit. Fell asleep on the bus. Me and her sitting next to each other. I had like 200 in my pocket. I had like 200 in my pocket of my last 400. and they stole 180 off me.
Dang.
And from getting robbed on the bus, like somebody he peeped me sleeping. The motherfucker picked my pocket while I was sleeping. I ain't noticed the shit till I got off the bus. Like, yo, fuck my money at? And you know, I'm wearing jeans. This like Sergio Valente. Like this motherfucker was picking pockets for real. This is when you know. Remember back in the pickpocket days, motherfuckers could really pick pockets. You know what I'm saying? So from then I was like, I ain't going. First of all, I'm not going to AC every day to make this little bit of money. I just quit City Blue. And I wasn't humble enough to go back to City Blue. Like, listen, I'm not going to school yet. I need to come back and work. Because they would have been like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? But I was like, nah, I ain't doing that shit. But, you know, my pop knew the ways. And next thing you know, by the 18th of January, I was starting school. But I was in limbo. But I wasn't in the mind state where I was going to allow life to take me down, or I was never influenced by motherfuckers that wasn't doing shit or making shit happen for themselves. Even if they was doing it illegally, I wasn't impressed by that. I was impressed by the money, but I wasn't impressed by the method. Like, nah, I'm good. I ain't doing that shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know where my life would have been, but I know I wouldn't have been getting myself in trouble. Yeah, Tori, I had on a pair of Sergio Valente. Maybe it was some acid wash. It was some acid wash. I know this, like I'm wearing jeans today, and I never liked my jeans tight, but you know, so they was more like this, but imagine me half my size. And I mean literally half my size. I wore a size 27 when I was 18 years old. 27, 28. I know I ain't wear more than a 28. I remember. Because you when you get the boxes of jeans, it start at 28. So I remember the first size was mine. all of the bulk, they came with 2 28s in the box. So if I wanted that, I had to jump on it quick. 2 28s, and then like the 30, the 32s, the 34s. They had like 6 in them. It was always a box of 40 pairs of jeans. So anyway, yeah, Tori said that was some good. Yo, I was knocked out on the joint like I was high. I didn't drink none of that shit. So it was crazy. It was crazy. But I looked at that whole experience like it was an experience. Like, it was showing you where you wasn't supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't taking that nut ass job down there. Doing what?
Shit, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I know that shit that you talking about is true. Because when I was I had got hired by the Hard Rock Cafe in Philly, and they sent me over to Jersey. They sent a group of us over to Jersey, but they had like 4 guys working in the daytime over there, and I was the only one working at night. Somebody tried to rob me, man. I bust my right hand up pretty bad on his eye, boy.
I ain't even have a chance to punch him. I ain't know who the fuck robbed me.
Yeah, man.
When I got off the bus, I was like, because the bus lets you off. It used to let you off at Broad and Race.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, somebody got me. I'm looking at the board that was sitting behind me. I couldn't really blame nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, all I know is that money was gone. So now I'm down to like my last 200 or whatever. I was like, and this is 1988. Something got to give. You know what I mean? We got to do something. 200 was taking you a lot farther in 88 than it is now. But
yes, it was. The fucked up part about it is when I first started going over Jersey for the Hard Rock job, I got on the bus and people was on there shooting up. Shooting up on the bus, man. Cooking got the spoon out and everything. I'm like, what the fuck is that smell?
Yeah, man.
Like, man, oh man.
Yeah, so I don't know what would have happened. I know what did happen. And I have to speculate that whatever did happen happened because it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Still I wonder. You know what I mean? All right, let's go to the poll question, and we're gonna do these birthday shout outs and get on up out of here. All right, which choice do you think would have changed your life much differently than how it turned out? All right, so going in the military instead of getting a job or going to college, 20%. Going to college instead of working, 40%. So a lot of people feel like if they would have went to college first, it would have really changed things. 15% said going to work instead of college. And 25% said having children young or not having children young. You know, because some people didn't have children until they was like in their 30s. Like me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hey, man, you know, one thing about having a child, period, is that sometimes you feel like, yeah, it kind of chose you. You know what I mean? Very rarely. Well, I ain't gonna say very rarely, because I know some people that was like, no, I was trying to have my baby, or I tried to get her pregnant, or I wanted to get pregnant because, you know, I wanted a child of my own that was gonna love me because nobody in my house loved me. You know, like, God, I heard the whole Gary like, okay. Damn, Reggie can trade says, I still don't have kids. Well, how old are you, Reggie Reg? How old are you? Shoot, I know people who can't have kids no more that didn't have no kids. And, you know, some of them on purpose and some of them luck of the draw. Sure it wasn't because they wasn't fucking. Wasn't that. It sure ain't because they was practicing safe sex. Wasn't that either. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Carrie said having a child is thug life. Whew. Man, listen, at a young age, it is. It is, man.
Carrie right funny. We call it thug life.
Wow. Tori 2200
I
said.
never looked at it like that, but you know what? It can be.
What? You know what I mean? Tori said, my dad shipped me to Cali in her junior year. I finished up high school in LA. It definitely gave me a different. I know it did. You out there with the Bloods and the Crips and all that. Wow. That's wild. Man. That's wild as hell. Damn, Carrie got robbed on the E train. Yo, what was about the train and getting robbed? Yo, pickpocket dudes was like that shit was a science. Like, where did you practice picking pockets? That shit crazy.
Shit, they was good at what they was doing.
They was very good.
Yeah.
I just want to know.
They didn't feel your tear and your pain and your agony behind it.
Look, when you play marbles, you know you can practice playing marbles. Somebody will show you how to shoot marbles. Same thing with any other sport or activity or hobby. Who's teaching you? Listen, this is how you get a motherfucker. But evidently, there is a training ground. You know what I mean? This is how you get the whole train robbed. No gun required. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is get within pickpocket range. Fucking pickpocket. I heard this dude online. What's his name? I can't remember. I'm glad I can't remember his name either, because he claimed that he started hip hop before Kool Herc and all that old shit. And He talking about how good he was of a pickpocket back in the day. I'm like, New York niggas be wildin'. Like, yo, you glorifying being a pickpocket just like the original 50 Cent and Killer Ben and all that. They making documentaries of motherfuckers that rob niggas. Let me get this straight. It's one thing to paint murals of like drug dealers, because drug dealers might have gave back. You know what I mean? Gave out turkeys at Thanksgiving, cookouts, random money. You know what I'm saying? What do a stick-up kid give back to the community?
Right.
You robbing the drug dealers and the rappers. And you get a mural? It's a whole mural of... Dog, I watched this documentary. I was so fucking mad. Killer Ben got a whole mural painted of himself in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. I'm like, he was a stick-up kid. They like, it's not about glorifying the dead. It's about acknowledging the life. He was a life of a stick-up kid. Like, they called him Killer Ben, but they want to harp on the fact that he was never convicted for any murders. Okay. So the boy Killer Ben, well, you know, the original 50 Cent was on the back of the Paid in Full album cover with Eric B and Rakim.
Yeah.
And ironically, Rakim mentions Killer Ben and I Want to Know What's on Your Mind. I was chilling with my man Killer Ben from Fort Greene. So I'm like, Rakim, let me holler at you. Like, so I don't know if y'all knew, Rakim was in some shit in the 80s. Motherfucker, there was a reason he didn't do interviews and shit like that. That motherfucker, you see interviews with him now. You ain't see none of that shit when he was hot. I wonder why.
He said it in his music, thinking of a master plan. So I ain't got nothing but sweat inside my head. And I dig into my pocket, all my money spent.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I can't say what he was into, but I can say who he was associated with. That nigga put Killer Ben in his fucking rap and had 50 Cent, the original 50 Cent, on the back of his record cover. Like, what shouldn't y'all be getting robbed by these niggas? Like, we find out that Rakim and Eric B was sick and the stick-up kids on the other rappers. He was the Billy Goat Gruff. He was the Billy Goat Gruff of rappers.
I used to be a stick-up kid till I thought all the devious shit I did. Yo. I used to roll up. This is a hold up. Ain't nothing funny.
He was only 18 when he wrote that shit. When was you a stick-up kid? When you was 9? When you was 9 years old?
What's up, son? He said, stop smiling and see no nothing move but the money.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Motherfuckers listen to the song, but they don't listen to the reality of what it could have been.
Man, I heard everything he wrote. Like, all right, let's get out of here, man. Listen, thanks for calling in, Troy. I appreciate you. Thanks for giving us that perspective and that insight. I appreciate you. I'll holler at you a little bit later.
I'm just gonna let the bar go out. Life lesson is a blessing, man. Just take it as it is. Don't think about what could have been. Just make the new could have been and make it what it should have been.
Bars, baby. Bars. Start writing. All right.
All right, boy.
All right, holla.
All right.
We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious. March 22nd, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and make it feel special because they are special because they are special because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box, Theo Leggett. Happy birthday to you. That's a woman, by the way. And also Teray Richardson, Teray Richardson. She is a comedian, but that's a female as well. And also Malcolm Bowles, my man, go getter Malcolm Bowles, S.D. Curtis, and last but not least, Jerome Wilson. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious March 22nd, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn to rock out. Rock on and do the damn rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, man, listen, we don't know what would have been. We don't know what could have been. But we absolutely know what happened. Sometimes things happen in our lives that we disagree with. And sometimes we forget about the origin of where those things came from. But we are a product of our decisions. We are a product of our choices. And sometimes the right choice at the time doesn't seem like the best choice later on. But that is the thing that we listen, what they say, a bird in the hand beats two in the bush. Well, when we had the bird in our hands, we did what we thought we should do with it, right? And hopefully it turned out the way it was supposed to turn out, or it turned out well for most of us. And I think for the most part, we're half-ass satisfied with the way things went. We can't always live our lives in a fantasy land, but we also have to pass on to our youth, that, listen, think about the things that you do and the things that you say, because they will have an impact on you, yourself, and somebody else in the long run. So try to do the best that you can. I want to thank y'all all for coming out. I appreciate y'all. I do wonder what would have happened if I hadn't chose this platform, or if our paths would have crossed in another way had this happened or that happened or whatever. Yo, Tori, that whole Bob Sumner thing, yo, when you say it's a small world, that's crazy. Tell him to holler at me. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I have his number no more. You know what I mean? But yo, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Yo, maximize and do your best. Be your best. Holla. Hit that like button before y'all get up out of here, though. Thank you.